Hey everyone, Mango7Roll here. How we doing today? It is alchemy time today. We're going through these bang, bang, bang just because you guys keep asking and I keep putting it off. So if I do it all at once, you guys will have it ready and right in front of you to use. So alchemy's a weird one. I don't really like it. You know, it's just so frustrating sometimes and so many... Who the hell is... This guy right here, you're ruining my life. Hikarano Banzai, what are you doing? Stop it. There we go. Okay, we're back. So, alchemy, not the best. It's actually decently easy to level, but I just don't enjoy it. So, as always, let's switch to our spreadsheet here, which is in the description below, and look at some options. So, the top one, as always, is the optimal leave usage route, and this is the least amount of leaves you can get to 50. So these are basically all your triple turn-ins. But as you can see, the most recommended one, which has changed dramatically, I would say, from since I made this spreadsheet and since I'm making this guide now, simply because beetle glue is now expensive. It was really cheap before. The beetle horns or whatever were like 10 gil each, and now they're like 5,000. So this has definitely changed, and this is why using your head is so important. Don't just blindly follow what I say, but also use this bottom, build your own kit part here, and kind of experiment with things, because it'll be different on every server. And as always, to make a copy of this, go to File, Make a Copy, and then you can edit in these numbers here. The only column you want to edit is this turn-ins column, and you can just edit the amount of leaves you do, and it'll calculate it all for you here. Some of my numbers are wrong for these, the items per leave thing. I really need to fix this. I will hopefully have it fixed by the time I upload this video. But alchemy is a little weird because sometimes you craft 3 things at once and that really throws off the numbers. So yeah, as for collectibles, there was one collectible I found, and that was Competent Craftsman Tea, and that was really great all the way to 70. So let's switch back into the game here and look at some options. And I really like looking through everything in real time with you guys, just because it shows you my thought processes. Like, I didn't line out this video ahead of time. I don't know what I'm going to tell you to do, because it's different every time. And I'm going to look at it now and try to decide for myself, and that's really what you should do too. So from this video, don't take out exactly what I say. Take out my strategies behind figuring out exactly what I say. So the first thing we want to talk about here is the same thing we do every video, so you might want to skip ahead 40 seconds or so if you've already heard this little spiel from me. But 60 to 61 is the hardest part to level. I found that you don't really have the gear, and if you're probably using like level 54 gear at this point, and it's really tough to HQ anything at all. So what I do is find a really simple thing at 60 to grind and go from there. And once you hit 61, you're then able to buy vendor gear, and it's just fantastic from that point on. It's much easier, and you can struggle your way through at 61, 63, I think 65 for crafting gear, and that should take you all the way to 70. So one of the ones I grinded off personally was Growth Formula Ita. Looks like I sold most of it. Nagari is actually from a vendor right here. So keep that in mind. Don't buy it from the auction house or the market boards. Birch sap is either really cheap or really expensive on your server. It seems to really fluctuate for me, and moss scales is also the same thing. So this may not be the best option for you, but it's what I used. It's really hard for me to tell you which one to grind off of simply because the prices are so different. Also, these Rizuis of Strength, Dex, Vitality, Intellect, and Mind, you'll be using a ton of these. So if you want to prepare for the future, it's good to grind a bunch of these. I've probably used like 100 of each of them at least at this point. And I feel like they'll be used in future content as well. So these are really great to just grind off of, you know? They may not be the best gil per craft, but you're going to be using them later, so it's really not too much of a loss. So let's go through the leaves here. And let's look at the 60 to 61. Our triple turn-in is Magic Beans, which is Growth Formula Ida. So that's a really good turn-in, simply because it's essentially so cheap. Moth Dust may be expensive, but your retainers can get them. If you don't have a retainer, you should. There's really no reason for you to not have one leveled up. So yeah, that's the best option in these 3. Copernical Ink, or Copper-Nickel Ink. I'm sorry. I'm an illiterate shithead if you saw that comment earlier. Copper-Nickel Ink is actually not too bad too. This is pretty good. So if you don't want to do triple Idas, you can do that instead. So I'm really happy with that. That's not bad at all. And our final one is the Index, which is probably not going to be good at all. Yeah, so skip that. Let's pretend I didn't go in there. For 62, we have a Residue of Intelligence. You don't really want to do that one, maybe, because you kind of want to use those later, and it's not a triple turn-in. Potent Spirit Bond Potion sounds like a really good one. It is a triple make, so you need to turn in 9 of these for 1 triple turn-in. And it's pretty good. Moodsuit Horn was really cheap last time I checked. Same with Loquat, Sugar Beets, and Gira Banyan Mineral Water. So I think that's another really solid option, and I think that's what I recommended as well in the spreadsheet. 64 is a little tougher one, simply because Beetle Glue right here is not cheap anymore on my server. These are about 4k per on my server right now, and that makes this expensive. So you might want to do something like Commanding Craftsman Tea instead, or some collectibles, and we will look at collectibles in a second. Oops. But this one takes some persimmon leaves, some cumin seeds, a Zohorn, and some spring water. So it's actually pretty good. The crystals aren't too bad. It doesn't take wind either. So I think this is a pretty solid one. It's not a triple turn-in, but it's still worth 1.1 million XP. And it doesn't look like there's any better options. From 66 on, and like I said, the spreadsheet right now says to do Beetle Glue, but use your head. If they're too expensive, don't do them. Married Leather Grimoire, which sounds like quite a bit of materials. Not too bad, but not too good either. I would still stick with the other one down here. Cunning Craftsman Tea, that one sounds great as well. Yeah, another really fantastic one. The teas for alchemy seem to be really good, and you can also use them. That extra bonus of CP can be really helpful later, so maybe that's a fantastic one to grind. So as for Persimmon Tannin, this is a really, really good one to grind. All the way to 70, actually. It's what I use to 70. But the problem is persimmons are really expensive on my server, but they're really easy to grind. So if you have your botany up, this is really an option. But if you're forced to buy the prereq materials, then I probably wouldn't do it. And just as a side note, if you can't gather these yourself, you should probably level your gatherers before you're crafting, because it just helps so much. So as for 68 to 70, doesn't look like anything good. You don't want to do any of those, so skip all those for sure. And finally, let's take a look at Leves here. We have Copper Nickel, which is the Index there, and we looked that one up earlier. We don't need to look that one up again, but just to be safe. Not a good option. We also have Gyuki Leather Grimoire, and again, not a good option. So as for collectibles, everything is going to suck as alchemy except for Craftsman Tea, I found. The Competent Craftsman Tea is fantastic. The Commanding Craftsman Tea, and again, these are different every day, remember that. So if you don't have a Craftsman Tea, just put your alchemy off for a day and do it the next day. Commanding, also great. Both of those will bring you all the way to 70 if you don't want to do your leaves. So I think alchemy has a lot of really good options, and I think it's one of the easier ones to level, even though I didn't enjoy it. The main problem with alchemy is a lot of the mats are harder to get, and you can't farm them. I'm not sure if they nerf drop rates just because they don't want bots farming things, but you kind of really need a retainer to do this. So yeah, dancing time, as always. So, alchemy, eh? I think it was pretty easy, and just go over some of the main points of this. Do I need to dye my legs? I need to dye my legs. What is that doing there? Okay, now that that atrocity's fixed, alchemy, 60 to 61, hardest part as always, grind something easy like Growth Formula Ida, do your GC turn-ins, or just buy them off the auction house and get to 61. Once you hit 61, you have your no quality gear from the vendor able to do it, and at that point it should be pretty smooth sailing. 61 to 63, it looks like something like Potent Spirit Bonding Potion grinding for your leaves is great. Also, if you happen to have a competent Craftsman Tea, or a Commanding Craftsman Tea, or any sort of Craftsman Tea as your collectible, they are fantastic. As for leaves, remember your 64 to 70 is actually really easy for alchemy. You have Craftsman Tea, a couple different options all the way up to 70, or if you have botany yourself, you have Persimmon Tannin all the way to 70. Remember though, those are, I think, triple turn-ins, some of them, and they take triple the mats because you craft 3 at once. Just as a general rule, if you output 3 of something per craft, that leve will take 3 per turn-in, which means the triple turn-ins will take 9. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you out in any way, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. If it didn't, feel free to downvote it. Let me know why. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and see everybody tomorrow? Question mark with culinary guide. I hate culinary. Actually,